Hey guys, Alessio, hope you're well. Welcome to this video update on Bitcoin. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the chart of Bitcoin and examine what could be happening on this crypto and what are the charts telling us about Bitcoin for the remainder of this year. Should be quite interesting, guys. Join me. All right, guys, welcome back. And before we talk about Bitcoin and the charts, I want to first of all say Guten Tag, because I'm here in Munich, in München. I've never been to Munich before, so it's quite an experience just going around and seeing some of the amazing architecture, as they say in Germany, erstaunlich. All right, guys, let's talk about Bitcoin. And I'm sure some of you are probably wondering, I haven't made a video for some time. And that's because I want to take a break from YouTube. All right, guys, let's talk about Bitcoin. Now, let's take a walk here as well while I'm talking. Some of you probably know that one of the most important things I consider when we look at the charts, and the reason why we look at the charts is because I believe in three German words, which is Preis über alles. Preis über alles simply means price over everything, price above everything. Why? Because price often reveals to us the psychology of the herd, the psychology of the crowd, and what generally traders and investors out there are thinking. And the reason is what people do and how people act often leaves a trace, it leaves its mark on the markets, on the price action. And that's why it's important for us to pay attention to it. And that's why we say Preis über alles, in other words, price above everything, as opposed to fundamentals and the news, all that garbage, which we don't need. All right, guys, so what have we seen in Bitcoin so far? We've seen a nice pullback. We've seen a nice correction down towards the 200 moving average on the daily chart, and also on the weekly time frame we have a pullback to the 21 and the 34 exponential moving averages, which are key levels of support, as we know. By the way, this decline that we saw on Bitcoin is something we actually mentioned in the members video. So if you watched the members video, I mentioned that Bitcoin could likely be forming some kind of an ABC pattern.
And this would be a potential B wave and then a potential C wave into this region of support between 102 to 100K. But that's only if Bitcoin were to drop in a sustained way below 118K and 116K. Then downside risk increases for a C wave down into these levels. And that indeed appears to be now what Bitcoin is forming here, a larger ABC pattern. So that's why we always need to analyze risk.
All right, guys, so again, that's a good example of why we look at technicals and Elliott waves, because they often reveal to us key specific patterns on the charts that can help us. And by the way, in case you're not familiar with ABC patterns and Elliott wave theory, that simply means that very likely we're dealing with a correction on Bitcoin, not some kind of a crash or some kind of a reversal in trend. I don't think Bitcoin is topped for the long term. I think we still have another higher high to go. So I think once this corrective pattern completes, then I think with a very high probability we could see higher levels. By the way, let me just show you this. This is a very famous building in front of me, and I'll mention this, by the way. This was this famous building in 1938. The Prime Minister of Great Britain, Chamberlain, met another key figure in Germany. And some of you who know your history, you probably know what I'm talking about. The famous agreement of peace in our time, as they call it. All right, guys, so at the moment as I'm making this video, Bitcoin has had a contact with the 200 daily moving average and the 34 weekly moving average. Currently, as I'm making this video, Bitcoin is above the 200 daily moving average. By the way, I should say there are some analysts who are saying that Bitcoin is topped for the long term. I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't agree with them. I don't think Bitcoin is topped for the long term. I'm still remaining bullish for Bitcoin, at least for the next 6 to 12 months. So personally, I think that in the next several months, either by the end of this year or going into next year, Bitcoin could likely move into the 140K to 150K range, and perhaps even higher. That still seems to me more likely. So I'm not in the bearish camp, while some people are. But in any case, what we're seeing so far is a move, in other words, a correction or decline or a pullback to the 200 daily moving average, which is a key level of support, which has so far held the price of Bitcoin. And of course, very importantly, we had a pullback to the 21 and 34 weekly moving averages, which, by the way, often happens in uptrends. If we look at the previous major uptrend that we had from about 2015, 2018, as you can see here, had many pullbacks to the 21 and the 34 moving averages. But at the moment, as I'm making this video here in Munich, I don't see any evidence that tells us that Bitcoin is topped for the long term. And I don't see anything out there that tells us the trend has reversed on Bitcoin into a downtrend. No, as I'm seeing it right now, the signs are indicating we're still in an uptrend, in a bullish uptrend. And as I said, I still think that the odds favor a continuation of this rally towards 140K to 150K range in the next several months. Again, it doesn't have to happen immediately, but I think in the next several months, by the end of this year, it's quite probable. As they say in Germany, es gibt eine Wahrscheinlichkeit. There's a probability. So what we need in German, wir brauchen eine Rallye. I don't know how do you say rally in German. By the way, guys, one more thing I need to mention here is I'm not trying to say I got everything right regarding the markets. No, I haven't. I'll cover that in a separate video for you. But as far as Bitcoin's concerned, you know, I'm still seeing this as a healthy pullback to the averages, to be followed by a continuation of the uptrend. By the way, I should say I'm using the time I'm here in Germany to actually improve my German. So at the moment, I've been reading this book by the German poet Hölderlin with some amazing, beautiful verses and poems. One poem I'm reading right now is called Zeitgeist. And one more thing, guys, as we know, seasonality for Bitcoin is actually quite positive and bullish from the period from the end of October to the end of the year. So usually the period from, I would say, end of October or November all the way to December and then going to the new year typically is a bullish, positive period for the crypto, for Bitcoin. So as you can see here on this chart as well. So that's another factor going positive or well for Bitcoin. So I think it'd be unwise to bet against Bitcoin in that period. Again, typically that period of November to the end of the year, December. Of course, there may be volatility. There may potentially be a bit more up and downs here. But overall, I think that by the end of this year, going to next year, I think there's a good probability, a good Wahrscheinlichkeit for new all-time highs on Bitcoin. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching this video. Let me just make a very special announcement for you. For the very first time, my good friend and trader Charlie Burton and I are doing together an online class, a special one-day online class on trading and analysis. We haven't done a joint class together. That's why it's going to be very special and important. And in this special class, we're going to be sharing with you key techniques and methods as to what is working now and what is likely to work in 2026 when it comes to trading and analysis. So you're going to be learning in this online class, for example, key techniques and methods for trading that Charlie himself uses in everyday trading. So Charlie Burton is going to be sharing with you some of the key techniques and strategies he uses every day in his trading and analysis. And I'll be covering for you in this educational class key techniques and strategies for time analysis, plus also multiple time frame analysis, and also how to spot powerful momentum moves before they actually happen and take shape. And also Charlie and I are going to be covering the key mistakes to avoid when doing trading analysis. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video update, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the online class. Thanks a lot.